Hazard pay is back on, and on Friday, President Biden issued an executive order that would pay hazard pay in part. This was only for individuals who are working for government contracts or third parties, but the big hazard pay is coming in the third stimulus package. Public sector hazard pay, private sector hazard pay, and a tax refund stimulus relief for hazard pay workers as well. So how does hazard pay work? In this overnight LALATE video, I go over the concepts of hazard pay. How does it work? What are the calculations? How do you apply? What are the concepts behind hazard pay? And what would happen under third stimulus package? Enjoy this overnight LALATE video that goes back to HEROES Act and explains how Nancy Pelosi proposed hazard pay and how you get the money if you're an essential worker on overnight LALATE. Federal law requires an employer to give you notice 60 days before laying you off. So could your layoff come up in the next couple days, and how will that impact hazard pay? This is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update for today. Our second of, really, I think it's 7. We're going to be doing a lot of videos today. This one, like all the others, has major twists. I mean, the stuff hitting the fan today is just shocking. So please stay with me and watch these videos, because today's videos are really breaking news left and right. This one's about hazard pay. As you know, that $10,000 from the federal government you could get under the HEROES Act, which is currently in the Senate from the House. But what I'm going to be going over with you is additionally the issue of what could you be facing about your employment in the next couple days amid what's happening with the airlines and a first stimulus package hours ago. This is really hot off the presses. Let me explain what's happening and how this is more than just airlines. It's all the viewers of this channel. First, federal law requires employers to give staff notice about possible layoffs or temporary furloughs 60 days in advance. So remember that date. I want you to write that down with a pen and paper. You have to get notice 60 days or earlier. The issue is that a lot of major businesses that may employ you and you in a capacity in which you're an essential worker could be giving you termination or layoff notices in the next couple of days. Why? Because a lot of them are thinking that the pandemic is going to be very serious by October, and they're now triggering those notices today. What's going on? In a memo released minutes ago, United Airlines said to its workers who received a warn notice that they may not get furloughed but should be on attentive notice. Quote, the reality is that United Airlines can simply not continue at our current payroll level past October 1st in an environment where travel demand is so depressed. And involuntary furloughs come at a last resort after months of company-wide cost, capital, and capital rising. So United, and of course United stock is dramatically down. So United Airlines announced that it's warning 36,000 employees that they could get furloughed. And they're asking for those employees to do things that, those employees that would normally would not do, such as taking early retirement, quitting, furloughing, or things like that. What's at issue is that if you're an essential worker and you've been watching my videos over the last couple of days, you know whether or not you qualify. There's some of you that have watched every single video, and I appreciate that, and you certainly understand when I read to you the HEROES Act and you hear the terms of what is an essential worker and what isn't. You hear your industry mentioned. You're like, oh, there I am. I'm covered. I'm an essential worker. If you're laid off, you still get hazard pay. You still absolutely get hazard pay. If you're furloughed, you get hazard pay. If you're fired, you get hazard pay. You still get hazard pay. But ultimately, the employer has to do it for you unless we have the Romney plan, which I detailed yesterday. If you recall what I've been explaining to you, under the HEROES Act, the employer does not have to apply for hazard pay for you. Under the Romney plan, which is another version of the bill, they do. The money is a lot of money. It's up to $10,000 if you made about $100,000 or less last year. And if you made more than $100,000 last year, that's $5,000. If you've already worked a certain number of hours since January and qualify for hazard pay, you could already be at the $10,000 threshold. You basically take a pen and paper, you look at how many hours you've worked, you times that number times $13 per hour. So you look at how many hours you work from January to the present, times it by $13 an hour, and you figure out whether that number lands at above 10,000, above 5,000, wherever it is. Wherever it lands, you get a lump sum for that amount. And if you haven't exhausted the benefits, then you can continue to get the benefits going forward. But what's important for you to know is that a lot of employers by law are required to give you notice if they're laying you off, and a lot could be doing it in the next couple days. Delta, United, JetBlue, Southwest, and Alaska have all signed letters of intent for, guess what? A stimulus package. Yes, this channel has been detailing second stimulus packages. Well, guess what? That first stimulus package, the CARES Act, which passed in May, that is law, provided a stimulus package just for airlines. It's a lot of money. It was the CARES Act, which was $2.2 trillion, provided $25 billion for U.S. passenger airlines, basically, commercial airlines like United and Delta. So they had not asked for the money, these airlines, till yes, but now, this week, they did. The Treasury Department overnight announced that all these airlines have asked for relief with that $25 billion. The Treasury Department in a statement overnight said the major U.S. airlines play a vital role in our economy and are critical to domestic airline travel and commerce. The airlines are among the companies most heavily affected by the disruptions into social and economic activity caused by the pandemic. So, does that money go to you? You know what I'm about to say. In some cases, no. Airlines have also received $25 billion in payroll grants that prohibit them from laying off or paying their employees through September 30th. So some of the airlines got what is called PPP money. Some didn't. But some have used some of, the big ones that I just referred to absolutely did not get PPP money. But the big ones did get some are now starting to get some of this $25 billion. And that $25 billion is to be used for operations and to pay you now. And ultimately, they can lay you off come October if they start noticing you up now. So let me back up and repeat that again so I make it clear. If you work for a major company like an airline, and it doesn't have to be aerospace, I'm using them as an only example, they have to, by federal law, give you a notice. And that notice is 60 days before they furlough you. Well, that the money that they're allocated under the CARES Act also has a contingency that they can't furlough you while they're paying you. So as to the airlines, they're currently paying their employees through September 30th, but they don't have to after September 30th if they give you this warning notice now, 60 days out. The reason why I'm going over this is very simple for you, is that I want you to be on a high alert about what your employer may do with you. Your employer may say, hey, I love this employee, but I can't keep them after October 1st. So you could get a furlough notice in the next couple of days if your company is thinking of furloughing you come October 1st. Doesn't mean you won't get paid now. Doesn't mean you won't get paid next month. It means your payments would end around September, and then you would be furloughed October 1st. Your payments would stop September 30th, let's be exact, and then your payments, and then you would be furloughed October 1st. It's really quite shocking. Sarah Nelson, a flight attendant for United Airlines and presidents of the Association of Flight Attendants issued a statement today. The United Airlines projected furlough numbers are a gut punch, but they're also the most honest assessment we've seen on the state of the industry. So she's basically saying, hey, this is not unexpected. What I want the viewers of this channel to always be informed about is what's coming up. I don't want to be reporting to you something after the fact. I never do that. I never, ever tell you something after it happens. I never tell you something a day or two or weeks after it happens. My job is to tell you something that could be happening, is potentially happening, or is percolating to happen, so that you have a full warning alert of it far before it happens, and that you're teed up for it. United Airlines last week warned employees that expects to be overstaffed by 20,000 people. So it could be reducing at least 20,000 people. United had 96,000 employees by last year. Now, what's important about this for viewers of this channel as well is unions. Ultimately, if you're in a union and you're a viewer of this channel, God bless, because your unions are ultimately going to ensure that your employer works in a way that complies with federal laws. One of the great benefits of unions is to ensure that employers operate legally. Those unions ensure that employers operate in a way that is legal, including furlough notices, taking federal, first stimulus package money, ensuring you get treated appropriately. So if you are a union and in a union and a viewer of this channel, for example, you're in a grocery market union, please be in touch. Please be in the database. Please stay alert to everything your union is indicating to you, because ultimately things are going to happen very quickly. What's going to happen? Well, let me give you an example. As you know, grocery store employees who worked during the pandemic qualify for hazard pay. They are defined as essential workers. They could get up to $10,000. Hazard pay is coming to Congress for a vote in the HEROES Act come July. If approved, will your supermarket then go apply and get the hazard pay for you? If they don't, what is your union going to do for you? All these things are very, very important, and especially in the case of a union, it's even more important. Unions represent all the employees that are unionized, and so they have an extremely strong footing to ensure that your employer cooperates with you and ensures that they get you what you need, especially if it's in the case of hazard pay. Let me also answer some of your questions from yesterday's hazard pay video. Let's get right to them. Elvira, what is essential when it comes to Google or electronic server tray assembler? We should qualify. Ultimately, it depends on how it's defined in the HEROES Act, not what's on Google. Ariana, what about people on Social Security? That is not the determinant. It depends on whether you're defined under essential workers. I think they should be doing a tax credit for all essential workers. My Tinkerbell, great comment. Lisa, we need hazard pay for the essential workers that all deserve it. Very well said. Christine, if you care for patients at their home at some time, you have to take them to the doctor or grocery store. Very well said as well. Ed Torres, I like the Romney plan, but it will never be signed because by Trump because Romney was the only Republican who voted for Trump to get him impeached. Well, ultimately, just because his name on the bill doesn't mean that will be the saving grace of the bill. Joanne Baxter, if you make more than $100,000, you are less essential and less exposed. Seems logic has left the building. No, not necessarily. It just means you worked more hours, perhaps. Hammer Britt, Governor Abbott expanded their list here in Texas, and energy is one of them. No, the essential workers definition comes from federal law. It does not come from what the state defines it as. T. Grayson, the doctors and nurses who risk their life working outrageous amount of time taking care of COVID patients. LALATE, I love your channel. It's excellent for updated information. Lisa Escalante, thank you so much. Lisa Escalante, I think the employers will have to apply for it. Well, that's the way it's currently written. Sylvia, the employers need to be required to apply for us. Very well said. Christina, thank you for letting us know the hazard pay doesn't conflict. Veronica, as I post in different vlogs, I respect those who classify as essential. I am one of them. I work in essential and non-essential workers. The demand and focus is for essential workers. Janet Edwards, I have my January, February hours, and I start back in August where I will still keep my timesheets. Yes. Viewers of my channel who are essential workers, please keep your timesheets. Mitt Romney trying to save his trying time to keep his position, says Gwen. Cressy, $2,000 a week for the next 12 months should do the trick, not under hazard pay. That's not the calculation. The coffee bean. The only legislature goes to Walmart, Lowe's, and grocery stores is for election rally or ribbon cutting. They have no clue what the real world goes through. Very well said. I agree. Fries. As an essential worker, you go in and get COVID and then have to quarantine. Raul Fontaine, LALATE, you're awesome. I've been working through the pandemic. I work for AT&T. We were told we're essential workers and had to work because it's our jobs. In your video, you didn't mention telecommunications. Yeah, so as I said, county, states, employers may call you essential. That is ultimately not the determining factor. It's whether or not the HEROES Act calls you essential. So if I didn't mention telecommunications, you're not essential. Doesn't matter if your employer tells you you are. Alaya, my question is, at my job, we did receive some PPA money. Does that have anything to do with hazard pay? No, hazard pay does not conflict with PPUA. Well, I don't know what PPA is, but hazard pay does not conflict with any other benefits programs whatsoever. JC Spotless Cleaning, would self-employed business owners provide essential services qualify for this? I don't know. That is really one of the key issues. Self-employed, gig workers, people who are paid by job, not by hour. All those things, I don't know the answer. Or Dwar, people should check with their employers. Very well said. Cha-Cha Dobbs. The problem with this is that Congress is out of touch. I agree 100%. Brent, what about Highway Department, DWP? Absolutely, you do qualify. Janet, good news. I'll be going back to work on August 13th. Congratulations, Janet. Matthew, I work at Costco. I hope this doesn't pass. I hope this passes and Costco applies. I don't think Costco qualifies. Well, let me back up. Costco is a really hard one to pitch. I think it's a gray area. It's not a grocery store. As written, I don't think Costco is going to qualify, but again, it's very gray. Lisa, I want the $13 an hour back pay times the $7.90. I think the grocery stores will do it. Well, they will do it because grocery stores are the most clear example of hazard pay along with medical professionals. Grocery stores, medical professionals. I mean, those are the poster childs of hazard pay. So if they don't apply for you, it would look really bad. Gwen Stefani, as long as they agree on the Romney plan. Reggie, security worker at a plasma center. The plasma center makes an interesting twist because anyone that works at a medical facility, if you work the front door, you work the screening, I don't care what you're called, you're covered as essential. The security worker part, not so much. So the plasma part, yes. Annette, they should have to apply for workers. Very well said. Are taxi dispatchers essential workers? Yes, I think so, because the taxi drivers are. I can't remember that section. What if you work for a temp company? No. Maria, what if you're on salary and pay stub? So you would basically, this is the one of the battlegrounds, is you would have to take track of your numbers and see what happens. What if I'm a custodian at a mental hospital? Yes, absolutely. Kevin Lee, my one job is essential, my new job is also essential, so both would apply. Gotta Fry, what if your employer does not apply for you? They're not required to. It's really quite awful. Kathy, I'm an essential worker, and I work at Safeway, Dollar Generals. So Safeway absolutely is essential. Walmart, no. Dollar Generals, no. Well, when I say no, I mean gray area. I mean, it doesn't look like they qualify. Safeway, absolutely, 100%. Annette, take picture of your timesheets. Very well said. Betty, what if your employer will not give you the money and they have the money? They can't get, I don't think they, well, that would be fraud. I mean, an employer applying for you and then keeping the money for themselves, boy, they would find themselves in jail in 10 seconds. Shelley, I worked in essential healthcare, home nurse, or CNA. Yes, you absolutely would qualify. James Matarazzo, I worked at 2 hospitals. You're essential for both of them. Thank you for your work. Amy, what happens if you're essential but quit your job? You still get the money. There's nothing about termination or anything like that in the bill. Grammar, the virus cannot be proven. Wake up. Michelle, how can it start in January when they shut down things until March? It's a great question. I don't know. I didn't write the bill, but it gives me more hours, so you would like it. It's just more hours for you. I'm more for the Romney plan, says Gwen. Josephina, I have to pay taxes, or is this out of taxes? No, you don't have to pay taxes on your hazard pay. Robin, what if you have to work a school system? Yes, covered. How do you apply for hazard pay? You don't, Virginia. Let's make them do it on yes, I agree. Lisa. Wow, a lot of great questions about hazard pay. Finally, Apple stores. A couple of the viewers' comments were really quite wonderful. When I detailed Apple stores as sort of the economic indicator of where we are in the pandemic, viewers just applauded the remark, and it really is true. Well, here we go. Apple stores now have increased their number of shutdowns. As you know, last week I detailed a few, then a few days more I detailed more. Well, now the vast majority of Apple stores are now closed due to the pandemic. 100 Apple retail stores are closed around the world, 92 in the United States. Apple has closed 510 stores worldwide and 271 in the United States to date. As of July 7th, 410 of 510 Apple retail stores and 80% of all stores are shut down in the United States. On Wednesday, there was a record single-day spike of 60,000 coronavirus cases newly reported in the United States. Really shocking. Coming up later today, more second stimulus check package updates. One about PUA, FPUC, UI. A lot of great questions, a lot of great viewer responses. And coming up, rental assistance. Finally, we'll be answering your second stimulus check questions from yesterday. As always, Dave, LA for more.